Thank you very much. All right, see what else is on the menu here. Oh, yes. Okay. So this next piece is a really exciting orchestral piece that you would normally hear played by a symphony orchestra. It's been transcribed for the organ. And it works really well that way because the organ has so many different tone colors. It also has the ability to be powerful and have the same weight as the orchestra. But this piece is great because it shows off, of course, the power of the organ, but it also shows off some of the quieter sounds, the beautiful strings and flutes, and even the vox humana over here in the swell division as well. So, by Sibelius, this was written back at the turn of the last century, right around 1900. And the middle section of it, the theme, if you will probably be familiar to many of you. Several hymns have been based on this melody, like Be Still My Soul or A Song of Peace. And so beautiful melody that has been used in a number of circumstances. So by Sibelius, here is Finlandia.
At this time, we're going to give Brett just a couple minutes of break, and I will introduce myself. I'm the organist here at La Casa de Cristo. I'm the organist, and I get to play 3, 4, 5 times a week, so I am blessed. But I also live just 4 miles away from Oregon Stop Pizza. So my family and I, we see Brett play at least once a week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, those are days. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then there's other organists that play the other days, Lou Williams currently. What you need to know about Organ Stop whenever you go is that it is cash only, currently, anyway. There might be some updates, but when you want to tip the organist, well, there's certainly an easy way. There's a nice tip jar there at the top by the console. You might see where I'm going with this. At this time, early on in the show, we're going to have a free will offering. And you can give several different ways. You can either give cash, we love cash, or we're going to try out a QR code. I promise you it works. There's one on your bulletin. It's on, I think, the side with Brett's bio. And for our online listeners, we know you are there too. Thanks for being there. We will have a link that you can click on that will take you directly to a way to contribute towards the music ministry. All of the funds tonight will go to help out our music ministry and the wonderful things that we do here, always in conjunction with the fabulous AV team. We have many spectacular things that we are planning to do throughout this season. And Brett, you're hitting it out of the park. So thanks for early on here in August. Go ahead and doing that. So we have our offering taking place. We have a QR code. Let me know how that works. Oh, fun fact, I've heard that if you just start typing, it goes into the cents and then to the tenths of cents and to the hundreds of cents. So please don't try and give half of a penny. Delete the zeros and type on the other side of that zero. If you do the QR code, you'll understand what I mean. But otherwise, you have various ways of helping us further our music ministry. And with that, Brett, I would like to welcome you back up. Thank you.
All right, well, up next, Jeremy mentioned Organ Stop Pizza, and yes, I do play there a lot. One thing you'll notice if you go there is we have lots of percussions that are part of the organ, and many of them are suspended from the ceiling. You can see them, xylophones, marimbas, you name it. And this organ has what we call a harp. It's really like a celesta. They're metal bars hit by kind of like a piano hammer, and creates that ringing tone you hear from over on this side. And I'm going to use that in the next piece, but it's kind of an unusual piece to play on a program. It goes back to the days, what we called the golden age of the organ. This was back in the early 1900s when we had organs in civic auditoriums, churches, of course, theaters, and even in private homes. And there were people who had mansions with big pipe organs in them, and they employed organists who did nothing but play the organ for people and their guests during the evenings. And there was a certain kind of music that was written for this time period. It's kind of like a light, kind of easy listening organ music. And this next piece is just a perfect example of that. It's called Fountain Reverie. It's by Percy Fletcher, and makes extensive use of the harp over here on the left and some of the very quiet sounds within the organ. Thank you. Well, yeah, so don't usually play that on a program, but we had this harp, and you don't always see those on church organs, so wanted to show that off for just a moment. Another thing this instrument has a lot of is flute stops. It has a lot of all stops because it's huge, but there are a lot of flute stops. In organs, we have open flutes and stopped flutes, and so they have different sounds, different characters about them. And so next, I want to play a piece by an English composer, Thomas Arne, and it's brief. I'm going to spend more time talking about it than it takes to play it, but it shows off different flutes throughout all of the divisions of the organ, the front organ, also in the back of the church. There are lots more pipes back there too. So here is Thomas Arne's piece. It's just called Flute Solo. So Jennifer mentioned during the open remarks that I'd received the Organist of the Year award from the American Theater Organ Society, and that's true, and it's a great honor. I play theater organs and church organs, and to be given such an award is an honor because of so many incredible musicians who have received that award in years past. So that's a great honor. In addition to playing theater organs, I play restaurant organs, Organ Stop Pizza, which is kind of like a theater organ. But before that, in a former life, for many years, I played for a church back in Wichita, Kansas. So large church with fantastic acoustics, a fantastic organ, and a great congregation. And it was a perfect match in many ways. And I enjoyed picking out lots of new music. You know, there's 52 Sundays a year, and every week you have to do something new and make all of the music and all of the moving parts fit together. And so back, this is how long ago this was, I would go to the music store where there were bins full of sheet music. We don't have too much of that anymore. Everything's digital. But I would sift through bins and bins full of music, trying to find new things to play. But I couldn't always find the perfect thing, dealing with the theme for a particular day. And so I found myself making my own arrangements sometimes of well-known melodies. And after doing quite a few of these, I made an album of them, a recording. And if they are on their way to Arizona, if they were here tonight, I would gladly sell them to you. But they're not. So I want to play one of those arrangements for you, though. It's really an old gospel hymn that has found its way into pretty much every denomination, I think, at this point. But it's called Shall We Gather at the River? And the text is something like, Shall we gather at the river where bright angel feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever that flows by the throne of God? Yes, we'll gather at the river. The beautiful river will gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. So I imagine this river flowing along and the journey of all of the saints heading for this river. So tried to capture that in this little creation of mine, and hopefully you enjoy. very much. All right. Up next, I have to play one of the most beautiful pieces of music in the world for you. A few weeks ago, Jeremy was in Organ Stop Pizza, and so was David White. And he asked me to play something I would never, ever, ever play at Organ Stop Pizza. And so I played the Nimrod from the Enigma Variations by Edward Elgar, the great English composer. And I thought, this really sounds good on this organ. It's kind of been in my head ever since. So I want to play it for you today, but it's a classic example of a piece of music that starts on the quietest sounds within the organ. It builds all the way to the full resources and then back down to the absolute quietest sounds. Nimrod from the Enigma Variations, the 9th variation. Thank you. Well, that's about all I know. So, one more here. I love opera. I love going to see different operas. The one thing I realized somewhere along the way is almost all of the overtures I ever hear to an opera, I think that would sound really good on the organ. And they usually do. And they usually transcribe to the organ easily because the organ has so many different tone colors. And so this what I'm going to play for you is particularly fun. I think it's typical Rossini. You know, they kind of all sound the same, but a little bit different. But this one's from The Thieving Magpie, and hopefully you'll recognize at least some parts of it. But here we go, Rossini. I also want to say thank you for being here tonight, and thank you to Jeremy and Jennifer and everyone here. The staff has been so helpful and welcoming, so it's been a real joy to come in and play for you this evening. Thank you. You're too kind. Way too kind. Oh gosh, I feel like I've played too long and too loud already. But I'll play one more thing for you. And I never know what to play in these instances, but I always think back to the first song I ever learned how to play on the organ when I was a little kid. And I think I can remember how to play it when I was 4 years old. But it's by a composer who is also from the state of Kansas, just like me. His name is Gordon Young, and he's sold lots and lots of copies of this sheet music. It's his Prelude in Classic Style.